What's up, folks? Welcome back to another episode of Foul Ball Talk on all things Baltimore sports, brought to you by Great Eights Memorabilia. This is a Driving to the Top Productions show. I'm the host, Matt Trigger. With me, as always, for Foul Ball Talk is my co-host, Tim Malarkey. Tim, what's going on, buddy?
Matt, what's going on, brother? 3-3 over the last six.
3-3 over the last six is absolutely right. We split the series, the four-game series, with the Toronto Blue Jays. We took two out of three from the Tampa Bay Rays, and here we are. Lots happened since our last show. Um, Cade Povich made his major league debut today.
That he
Um,
did.
Kyle Bradish has been indefinitely shut down, and we do not know the length of time that is going. Last time we were on air, Tim, you said we were one injury away from desperation with the pitching staff, and here we are. So we have a lot to talk about. The All Star voting just opened up, and we're seeing how some of our guys stack up for that in the early voting process. We are just under a month away from the All Star break, and we have officially ended our first week of this gauntlet known as the June baseball schedule for the Orioles. Like you said, 3-3 to start this monster stretch here. What was your takeaway from the race series?
Race series looked good. I thought we could have swept them. I don't know. We were riding. I was riding a little bit of a high after the Rays series, and then we got that first series win on Tuesday with the Jays, and I was actually talking about it with the guy in our comments right now, Zach, that it was refreshing to see. I mean, on Tuesday now they're 10-4, but on Tuesday they were 10-2 since that sweep by the Cardinals. They averaged 9.8 hits and had scored 75 runs. Now, obviously, yesterday's game and today's game changed that statistic a little bit. Um, it's almost like we always talk about. They lived and died by that home run ball. And even in today's game with Adley getting two, we still took the L. So, like we always talk about, Matt, I mean, I'm really happy with this team. Look at our record. We're on a 108 game win pace. Can't complain too much about that. But there are some major flaws. And like you had already alluded to, last week I had mentioned how we were one starting pitcher injury away from disaster, so to speak. And I just wanted to clarify some things because I talked to some people that watched the show, and a lot of people relatively disagreed with me that wasn't the case. But what I meant by that, Matt, and I know I had this discussion with you, is that by disaster, I meant that we lose a fifth starter. That gives us four. Now we're in the position where we call up Povich. We'll get to Povich later, but what that leads and makes clear to the rest of the league is that we are buyers for a starting pitcher come the trade deadline. And now with the injury, it appears as if though we are desperate. And what happens when a team is desperate and really needs to acquire someone? The price gets upped because they know they can. And that is how you end up unloading more assets out of your farm system than you truly needed to or wanted to. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as emotionally after losing one-run games back to back against Toronto. And I don't know what it is. We've said it before. Bo Bichette and Vlad always decide they want to hit the ball when they play against the O's. So
Yeah. Even though a lot of people disagree with you, I agreed with you then, and I agree with you even more now. We don't know the prognosis for Kyle Bradish. This could be a highly cautioned, waited out situation, or he's starting to feel discomfort yet again. And we truly don't know. It's worrisome. Albert Suarez gave us another very, very good start. I know we only went 5 innings, but he still gave us a good chunk, he's serviceable on that back end. He is your prototypical 5/long guy. Right now, the pitching staff is Corbin Burns, G Rod, and Cole Irvin, and then you got a maybe healthy Kramer eventually, or you got Suarez. Now, when Suarez is creeping up into your 4 role, you know that's a little worrisome. This schedule does not get easier.
It
It
does not.
it does not get easier. We got the Rays again starting tomorrow night.
You know who our pitchers are for the series? You ever heard of a guy TBA?
Yeah, TBA is daunting. Let me tell you. Um, and we got the Braves coming up, and now you're starting to see the meat of of this June schedule, and there's some heavy hitters. The Yankees are coming up again. This is not a good position for your starting rotation, and our bullpen is getting absolutely taxed. They're being used more and more as the days seem to stretch, and Suarez gave us 5 innings, so the bullpen ate nearly half the game.
That is for sure. And I was kind of interested to see what kind of start we were going to get yesterday out of Suarez, just because that would have been his first start since all of the shit hit the fan, so to speak. So mentality wise, I was kind of interested to see if he was going to, pull up his pants and step into that. I need to get 6. I need to go 6.5, 7. We saw the same Suarez. I like the guy. No shade on Suarez, but he is a long guy. He is not a long-term starter. And it's kind of like we're almost walking a tightrope as how far can we go with this squad that we have right now before it starts to cost us. And the Yankees aren't, their foot's on the gas. They haven't slowed down. I don't know what the score is or what happened today if it's on right now, but if they win today with our loss, I think we're magically 4.5 games back. So,
And that's not a good place to be.
it's not. It's not.
And with us having a 108 win pace right now, the Yankees are probably on pace for 112 or 114.
Exactly. And
So there's where you got to look at that. This division is going to be tight, and this is the month you got to kind of keep it close.
no, for sure. And like I've posted it on Twitter yesterday, it's going to be one hell of a summer in our division. It's going to be a race between the O's and the Yankees, and it's going to come down to those last couple series. Not against the Yankees, but just in general, it's going to come down to the last couple weeks of the season. And I had mentioned that like probably our second or third show into this season that even these early games, those early, that Oakland series, those games mattered, and they matter because we're in a race with the Yankees.
Every game matters. I never say a game doesn't matter. Every single game matters. I get we have 162 of them, but a losing streak can pop up just as quick as a hot streak can.
It can, especially when it's back-to-back one-run games, Matt. As Zach in our comments alluded to, I was going to touch on this too. I mean, we are 6-10 in one-run games. And just to put that in perspective for you, in 2023, we were 30-16 in one-run games.
Doesn't look like it's going in our favor this year. That's how fickle this game is. And I want to touch on something that Zach also just said in the comments. If there's ever a time to give Trevor Bauer a call, it's right now.
So
there's no reason he's not in the league.
As far as like his athletic ability and his pitching skills are concerned, I agree with you there. I actually was talking to, going over everything that he went through with my better half, and she did some digging. And I think the fact that how deep these allegations and charges that were brought up upon him, and then the ones that he turned around and flipped, I mean, there was 4 women involved, and I'm not passing any judgment on that. That's for court. You know what I mean? It's my judgment is with David Rubenstein at the helm, with this, dugout full of these young kids that have really good vibes, and they're, it's like watching a frat boy party going on in there. Um, I struggle with the fact that I just don't see the front office wanting to get their hands involved in any of that mix. And, some would say that a character like him could be detrimental to a clubhouse. And I personally don't know if that's something that I would risk. I'm not a GM, I'm not an owner. So, that's to be decided on their part. But I just think that it could be something that they don't necessarily want to have in Baltimore.
I agree that he's got a lot going on with him. This is apples and oranges, is what I'm about to say, but it does need to be said in the sense that arguably the face of baseball right now, both internationally and here in America, is letting his interpreter take the fall on a potential federal indictment of 33 years
Yep.
for gambling. The league just suspended one player indefinitely, and four more got a pretty hefty you know punishment as well. You're not you're not looking too good right now when you're letting Otani off the hook entirely because he is a two-way athlete at the major league level. He's probably one of the better hitters in the game. He's definitely one of the better pitchers when he's not hurt. But this man is avoiding all accountability in this. And there's so many other floating pieces now that this is a more widespread problem. I will not sit there and say that what Bauer is accused of isn't egregious. But in the court of law, he was found to have nothing charged against him. He was indicted on nothing. He was found to be innocent of everything that was levied against him. So in the court of law, he's an innocent man.
Yeah.
And there's no reason that Trevor Bauer is pitching in Mexico right now, and he's probably better than majority of the starters that are in the major league right now.
No, I think that the difference, when it comes to
He settled out of court civilly. He was never criminally charged with anything. Let me clarify that.
Yeah. So
it's a clarification more than anything else.
Right.
He obviously where there's smoke, there's fire. Something went down. He paid them a lot of money for it to go away in a civil matter, but criminally, he never did anything. So, in terms of the banishment from the league, that's what I'm talking about.
No, and the part that like mixing in the Otani thing into it too is it's very clear. A guy like Trevor Bauer, before the accusations and stuff, what did he bring to the league? Not only just being a good pitcher, selling some jerseys, but as far as, there wasn't really anything crazy that he had brought to the table to make the league money. Otani, I read an article and it was like he had upped the international sales of jersey, specifically in Asian countries, by tenfold in 1 year before he had even stepped on the field, just from the time he was named an Angel. So it's clear what the league is doing by letting this ride. They want to make that money, and that's wrong. I just think that the Trevor Bauer situation is just something that is too sticky for teams to get in on, because when I think about it, Matt, why wouldn't there's a lot of crazy owners in the league. Somebody would have taken a shot on them. There's a reason they're not.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, he's radioactive. That's just, between the accusations, what was settled out of court, we will never know because of the NDA, discourse and all that matter. But the thing is, he's also very outspoken. He's very much a outspoken conservative, which doesn't align to a lot of the leagues that try for inclusivity. Um, it's weird to toe this line in baseball because there's so much more day-to-day interaction with the media. Having a couple of guys rough around the edges is a lot better for a football team as opposed to a baseball team. Like you
Yeah.
said, the culture here matters. We got a new owner. Elias is doing his thing. It's a frat culture. It's a fun culture. The guys are young. I get it. I do agree with you that Bauer might not be what this team needs in when it comes to a chemistry standpoint. Some of the guys will probably be very apprehensive to have him in the clubhouse. I was talking from a pure baseball standpoint.
Right.
How much longer are we going to keep on trotting out fringe five guys when you got a perennial former all-star pitcher down in Mexico embarrassing that league almost every single time he gets out there when he could be in the major leagues probably doing damn near the exact same thing.
No, yeah, no, and that's the thing is I think somebody is going to give him a shot. I think that trade deadline's going to come. Somebody's going to get left in the dust where they are desperate and in need, and we are going to see Trevor Bauer pitch for somebody that really needs to make that move and isn't able to acquire anyone at the deadline. I just do I think it would be the Orioles? No. Talking about his skill and our need, obviously yes, but it's just something that, like I said, I don't see it in an Orioles uniform. I don't see it in. I would see someone like the Diamondbacks go after him.
The Astros.
The
That was brought up.
Astros.
That was brought up in our comments.
Yep.
It's getting to a point now where we have to start looking at the trades a little bit more seriously now. Here we are, a month from the All-Star break, and a couple comments have come in. Zach just mentioned, would you trade Kerstad for Kikuchi? I believe Kikuchi's under contract for another year and a half, if my memory serves me correctly. That's a little rich for 18 months of baseball from a pitcher that you don't know for certain is going to be the same quality pitcher a year from now. I would prefer somebody a little bit younger with a little bit more team control if you're going to give up Kerstead. But we're getting kind of desperate there, Tim. Like you said earlier, desperation mode is almost there. If Bradish is going to miss any extended amount of time, you're going to have to come off of Stowers. You're going to have to come off of Kerstad. One of those guys. You might have to come up of a Dylan Beavers or a Samuel Basayo. Enrique Bradfield Jr. We really don't know what we have with him yet. He's doing well in high A, but all of our prospects now seem to be on the forefront of trade discussion. And here we are, not like if Bradish is just needing rest and they wanted to skip a start, then this is all still a moot point because Bradish is still in the rotation. If Bradish is heading down to Alabama in the next couple of days, we're in trouble.
I agree. No, I agree. And that's kind of what I'm waiting to see. What is really up with Bradish? And we've talked about it before, how the Orioles like to kind of keep things on the hush-hush. And that's why I have an uneasy feeling about this situation, because they just keep saying, we don't know, we don't know, we don't know. And we usually know how that goes. So that's my only thing there. I mean, I was impressed with Povich today. If you look at the box score, and to the untrained eye looking at the box score and seeing what Povich did today, you're like, oh God, 6 earned runs. But there's a lot of other numbers that go into what that kid did today. I mean, he's making his MLB debut against some really good hitters that might not be the hottest hitters in the league right now, but nonetheless,
Still
really good
lineup.
hitters. Yeah. And I mean, all of his pitches today, he only had 2 hard hit balls. Both of them were by Vlad. Both were over 90 miles an hour. Nothing broke 100. One of them was the home run that he allowed to Vlad. But on his other pitches, his average exit velocity on them was 80 and 83 on all of his other pitchers. And then he threw 3 sinkers, I believe it was. And no one even touched those. They didn't get touched. I would like to see his strikes to balls kind of even out there.
50%. It was about 50%. He threw 103 pitches, had 58 strikes.
Yeah. Yep. I would like to see that a little bit come down there, obviously. And then the Vlad home run, I mean, he walked up until the Vlad home run. He hadn't allowed a hit. He kind of, did what he's done, and what's been on his scouting report since he's been in the minors is his walks and his walk rate. And he walked those 2 batters. And I mean, any pitcher that walks 2 batters in front of Vlad is going to make you pay. So I don't know. Listening to Hyde after the game, he was really impressed. I thought Cade didn't look docile or meek up there at all. He came out attacking hitters. He's not some youngin that has 2 pitches and is stepping up to the mound to make their debut and trying to use their 2 pitches. He opened up the arsenal. He was attacking hitters. I think that he gave himself a little bit of runway. And I think we're going to see more of him. I think that we got the start, and the Orioles got the start out of Povich today that they wanted to see in order to, give him a little bit more of a path in the next couple weeks. And you know how Hyde loves this 6-man rotation. So regardless of what happened, we could really see Povich, up here for some time.
Absolutely. The numbers are skewed if you just look at the box score, like you were saying. It does worry you that he threw 103 pitches in 5 1/3. So you'd like to see him get that, pitch count under control a little bit. If you're throwing 103, I expect to see you hit the 7th or maybe even the 8th inning. I mean, I know we're comparing everybody to the efficiency of Corbin, and that's what happens when you have a top 5 pitcher in the entire American League or entire Major League Baseball. I mean, it's hard to compare everybody to him, but he is efficient. He's highly efficient, and you want to see that out of almost everybody. But I have a feeling he's going to have another chance at a start. I think he's going to be okay. He might be here the rest of the year. I don't see him going back down with the way our pitching is currently, set up. So he's just got to get that was nerves too. I mean, he's making his Major League debut. You're in Toronto. You're going against that lineup with Vlad, Bo, Springer. Those guys are no slouches.
Turner, you got a couple World Series winners on that team.
You got a couple guys that can hit the ball up there. So I wasn't too I mean, I was initially looking at the box score. It's kind of like yikes, because you see that 10-19 ERA, and it's like, well, once you break down the exit velocity, you get a little bit more into the analytical side of things. Not too bad. And to address something that Zach brought up, Zach being the beacon of controversial statements on our thread today. How about trading Colton Cowser? He's a movable piece.
Movable.
Yeah, I don't see the Orioles doing that, because I just in my mind, after the big 3 of Adley, Gunnar, and Jackson, I believe they see Cowser as like that next guy that they're going to rely on for a long time.
I think it's Westberg and Cowser right there.
Yeah. I think they're 4 and 5, and you can interchange them any way you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
I think Zach mentioned Trent Grisham. I think that Cowser has a little bit of Markakis vibes to me. Not everything, but some things. I could see him being a plus power guy down the line. Pretty good defense. I don't know if he's ever going to be as good as Nick was in the outfield, but that remains to be seen. That's something that you gain with years of experience at the major league level. This is his first full season in the bigs. So I'm a firm no on Cowser. And I wanted to also bring up something to you that I made an appearance last night on Bucks Talk with Adam and his co-host Rich, who's been in radio for about 2 decades. He's over in Waco, Texas now. And he was suggesting that, just, the topic of Jackson Holiday came up. So the point was brought up again, and we've talked about it briefly on the show before.
You lost your mic or you muted yourself.
Can
There
you
you
hear me?
go. Yep.
Okay. You know, on the show
Can you,
last night, and the topic came up of Jackson Holiday, and I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. I got it fixed, but the Jackson was brought up, and um, he was talking about moving Jackson to center field, in the same way that the Padres have moved virtually every other shortstop that they've had in their organization,
keeps muting you.
including, I don't know what's going on. There's something going on with StreamYard right now, but it was an interesting aspect of conversation. So I figured I'd ask you what your thought process is on that.
Okay, so all I picked up on was the Jackson Holiday. What was your question about him though?
Oh, it was brought up that the Orioles would be tempted to move him to center field in the offseason and unload an extra outfielder in a trade to acquire pitching.
I got one answer that will help solve this for you. We've been waiting on our center fielder to come out of his slump or slow start, as they call it. But we are now entering the second week of June, and this gentleman is still batting 178, and that is Cedric Mullins. And it stinks. I love him, Mr. USA.
He's got to go.
It's just,
It's
at
time.
what point does a slump or a slow start turn into a it ain't it? I mean, and the outfield's sort of a rough patch right now. Since April, the cowman, Cowser, he's batting 120. So
that hot start cooled off tremendously
it
in the
did.
month of May. I still don't see the value in trading Cowser unless there's one name, maybe two, that I would consider dealing Cowser for. One is Garrett Crochet from the White Sox, and the other is Tariq Skubal from the Detroit Tigers.
I really like Screwball.
So I like Skubal a lot. Now, if Skubal is on the table and they say Cowser and Kerstad and a mid-level minor leaguer, I would do that.
Yeah, it's hard.
Or if they said Cowser and Norby.
Yeah, that would, I think. My only issue is that we have more depth at the infield position than we do in the outfield position currently, as far as ready to play players. Norby came up and said second base is mine. We saw that. I think we're going to continue to see that. But you have Jackson Holiday. And if Norby stands up and says, hey, second base is mine, then he's got to push Mateo out of the way, who Mateo is putting together until Cedric Mullins, the guy we just talked about, hit him in the head with a bat. Mateo's putting together his best season he's ever had. So that's two second basemen. Yep. So now you have Norby and Mateo, who are both saying this is mine. Holiday was already up, sent back down. He's working on things to make his route back up. I think that with the fact that Cedric Mullins needs to get paid, the fact that he's batting 178, the fact that Cowser isn't having the best, he had the hot start, isn't doing too great right now. Stowers looks good out there. I don't think Tony is the long answer. We know what we're getting with Hayes. I hope Hayes is getting himself back like he looks like he has, but there is a void. There is a hole in the outfield. And Jackson, I think, is athletic enough. Jackson, I think, is fast enough. He's about the same height as Cedric.
Yeah, Jackson. Everybody thinks he's a little kid. He's 6'1", about $185. So,
He's taller than Cedric. Then, yeah,
yeah, he's 6'1". I mean, I don't know if they're embellishing 3 or 4 inches in height, but by all accounts, he's over 6 feet tall. Um, if it makes sense to move Jackson to center field or move him to left and let Cowser take over center, I'm all for that. But I think you need to start that like after the All-Star break.
I agree.
Like if you go to him and say like, "Hey, we don't have any intention of if Elias has no intention of trading Norby, if Norby is here after the All-Star break, and then you want to realistically look at things, okay, ask Jackson to start taking some fly balls.
Yep.
He's
And
20 years old.
yeah, and he's already learned another position. You know, they had him learn in second base. We know he can do that. We know that baseball is in his blood. It's been in his family. It's all he's ever known. You hear players, veterans, retired players talk about seeing him when he was 15, 16 years old, swinging a bat and catching a ball, and they say that they've never seen anything or anyone as naturally gifted at baseball as him. So if there's anybody that I think that could get moved and learn and grow at a new position, it would be Jackson Holiday.
Yeah, and it's crazy we're talking about this because the first couple shows we did, it was when's Jackson going to be here, and then the next couple of shows after that, when he got here, it was when is this gonna when are they gonna pull the plug on this? And now he's been kind of quiet. Stephanie just, or I'm sorry, Zach just posted that he's hitting 395 recently. Jackson, it might be one of those. It might be one of those rare situations where Jackson is a number one overall pick, and he might have a couple different positions before he finds his true fit here in Baltimore. I'm gonna use the San Diego Padres as reference to what I'm saying.
Here we go.
No. But it's realistic because they're doing it.
It is.
We talked about this before. 7 out of their 9 starters that were on the opening day lineup were former shortstops, and they were playing everywhere else but shortstop.
Yep.
And then on the contrary, you have a all-star perennial borderline Hall of Famer, perennial all-star borderline Hall of Famer, and Mookie Betts, who played outfield for the first 10 years of his career, and now he's having a Gold Glove caliber season at shortstop for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's played second base, he's playing shortstop, and he's been an all-star outfielder, it seems like every year that he's been in the majors. So it can be done, but these are physically gifted guys that are more athletic than your average baseball player.
Right. No, and that, like Zach alluded to, we've found some insane talent in the minor leagues. I mean, in the draft, coming out of college and high school for the infield prior to Jackson Holiday. And if like, I would be behind it, and it wouldn't surprise me if there's anybody that can do it. It's Jackson. And as Stephanie said, I have to be better at this. I keep wanting to call him a kid because he looks like it, but he is not. He is certainly not. He is a grown man who can hit the hell out of the ball. I would love to see him out there in center field. And then, you know what, Trig? We might even get a leadoff center fielder back because you know how much they love him, batting in that leadoff spot. So what a change of events that would be.
And there's another thing that I heard on the radio waves a couple of days ago that I was going to mention. If Norby is here to stay, and he's at second base, if you want to get Mayo on this ball club and he has to play third,
yep,
Jordan Westberg has the athleticism to play left field.
He does. I love him in the infield, though.
So do I. I do too. I think he's he's good on the hot corner. He's a great infielder. They were talking about pure athleticism. That Westberg, with this all season of work, could theoretically play Baltimore in that left field if Cowser swings over to center.
And Westberg's the kind of mental lunatic too. I mean, they literally call him the Navy SEAL of the team. That's his nickname in the dugout. He's the Navy SEAL. And Westberg would be another person that I would say could learn a new position in their career and do well at it.
Zach just mentioned Mad Dog 2020. I'm sorry, I just had
Yeah, I
PTSD.
saw it too, and I couldn't even think about it without gagging.
Oh,
Um, but I don't think, Norby is staying at the infield. Mayo is staying in the infield. Um, when are we going to cut ways with Urias?
um, I it honestly wouldn't shock me when Mateo's back from being hurt. I don't think they're sending Norby back down.
That's my thing. Are you really going to keep Urias on your roster and send Norby back down? The guy who's played like the most minor league games of all time.
Yeah, there's no need for him to be down there.
Yeah, I know he is. I know he is. I know he is, Zach. I can't. I'm over it.
Like I could realistically see our bench, if you want to call, I mean, just the four on the bench. I could easily see McCann, Stowers, um, Norby, and Hayes, or like any combination of the outfielder, O'Hearn, whoever is that 13th on the bench, that fourth on the bench for the 13 on the hitting side. I know you're not going to take O'Hearn out of the lineup that often, but Urias doesn't fit. His
It,
defense is going downhill. I think they're just keeping him around because he's the veteran of this club right now.
no, he is, and I like what Zach just said. Let him keep playing well. Screw it. Let him get in there every third, fourth, fifth day, whatever. Let him keep playing well, upping his trade value. So when we do need to go make a move, he could be that extra cherry on top of whatever deal they rob us of prospects for to get a starting pitcher, because we know it's coming.
Yeah. I think that the outfield picture is going to be a little bit more clear as we move along. Um, I don't. I'm probably going to get a little bit of hate for this in the comments. I'll probably get a couple of unkind text messages, so to speak, later on. I think Santander's days are numbered as an Oriole. I love Santander. I'm gonna preface that, but if Santander can start to hit the ball a little bit better and he can up his value, you can get a mid-level bullpen arm or a fringe major leaguer. Um, at this point, you're holding up Kerstead.
He only hits home runs, and he doesn't even have that many.
Correct. He's a home runner or strikeout guy. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't put the ball in play a whole lot. His defense is atrocious.
It's pretty
Absolutely.
ugly. It looks
It's
very awkward.
And I will say this, that O'Hearn's not much better in right field, and neither is Kowser. I mean, not Kowser, Kerstead, but they're an upgrade over him defensively. So it's going to be tough when there's an announcement that Santander's on the move. Because if you have an opportunity to trade Kerstead, he's going to get paid by somebody. Somebody's going to give him a lot of money, and it's not going to be us.
No,
Same
yeah.
thing with Cedric Mullins.
You just got my brain thinking though, because with Kerstad, I really love. I think he's got a generational bat. I really do. I just don't know, because of how the Orioles treat. I mean, they gave Stowers a better treatment than him, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if they don't believe in him, if Kerstad is what they want to use in a trade. But then I was just thinking in my brain while we were talking about plugging him into the outfield and what we just talked about, and like I really like a Kowser, Stowers, and a Jackson Holiday in the middle. Can the athleticism in that outfield with those guys? I don't know. There's a lot of fun to be had about that Jackson in center field conversation.
And it's a
And
legitimate conversation. I don't want to hear about, oh, he's an infielder. So was Jackson Merrill.
yep,
So was Fernando Tatis Jr. And they're making their livings in the outfield. And they're damn good.
they sure are.
I know I keep going back to the Padres, but that's the most talented guys in the league that have made the transition from infield to outfield. And if I'm missing somebody, you can tell me in the comments. But
2 for 28.
Yeah, my ass, not in Baltimore.
Nah, that ain't happening. Matt, I did want to bring it up something to you that I heard on the interwebs and through some of the Orioles insiders and talking back and forth with a lot of people is that I know we've talked about it before, but apparently word on the street is that new ownership has put an offer or money on the table for a couple of our select players. One in particular's agent is hard no, especially when you're going to make the All-Star team. You're leading the race for MVP, and you could potentially hit 45 plus home runs this year and go get another MVP in another All-Star game next year.
That's another.
His agent's not letting him take the contract, but I just wanted to let you know that I have heard that it's an offer has been presented. It has not been accepted, or even the phone hasn't been picked up, is the way that I was presented this little bit of information. So,
I see Adley saying yes before Gunner, and I think Gunner would say yes. I think these dudes love playing here so much together that I think that they would probably do what it takes to make that work to where they can both stay in this city for a very long time. With the new owner, I'm certain that Gunner's going to be here long term. Now, whether that deal gets done now or in 2 years,
right,
remains to be seen. But I don't think Gunner's leaving Baltimore.
No,
as Stephanie calls him, Daddy David is not going to let him leave.
No.
Yeah, she got mad because I called him Dave. Like, she legitimately sent me a message that I called him Dave.
Yeah, that's like, not his name.
We call him Daddy David around here. I'm like, well, I'm not around there. I'm sorry. I apologize. I was scared. So
that's his name. It is. He is the Daddy David. He's the one who signs the checks and chucks the hats. I mean, shit. At this point, Daddy David's going to need Tommy John surgery. All the stuff he's throwing out to fans every day. I don't know, Matt. I'm excited of the state of the Orioles. I wish that our offense wasn't so hot and cold, bipolar, if you would. It's, it's up and then it's down. There are some really, really good highs and some really, really low lows. I am interested to see where these next 2 weeks take us as far as starting pitching goes. I just right now today, after we just dropped 2 games to the Jays and Povich is on the mound and our starting rotation is 3 guys and the rest are TBA, and the front office and Hyde are doing that hush hush, we're not sure, we don't know, playing that game again. I just don't have a good feeling in my gut about it. And nobody likes looking at the lineup and seeing TBA because that's not a good state to be in, especially in this gauntlet that we're in right now, especially a month and a half before the All-Star break.
Keep an eye on Brandon Young, dude's chucking, called the Norfolk recently and already had 2 great starts. I'm still waiting for McDermott too. So
yeah, no, McDermott, believe it or not, had a higher walk rate than Povich, so I think they just trust Povich more. Obviously, I know you know that, and most of our viewers probably know that too. I'm also ready for McDermott. I don't know if right now you see, the thing is like, you don't want to call these guys up to pitch twice, and then all of a sudden Bradish is fine and Kramer's back.
Yeah, this might be a whole lot of sweating for nothing.
Right. And I haven't even said this publicly on here yet, but I know I've told you about it, and it's kind of where I lie in the situation too, is that my only confusion in all of this Bradish stuff is if he's not ready to go and you're saying he needs 2 or 3 more days of rest, he needs rest for a reason, right? And Is it if he's sick, you would just say he's sick. If he was hurt, you might not want to say anything, and he just needs 2 more days of rest. But I feel like 5 days ago, we heard he needed 2 more days of rest. Then 3 days ago, we heard he needed 2 more days of rest. Then yesterday, when he was asked, Hyde was asked, or Elias was asked, they said, we don't know. We just don't know.
They
That
are
leads
taking
me
a
to believe
playbook.
he's hurt.
They're taking a page out of the John Harbaugh answer without answering playbook.
Yeah, I honestly think he's hurt.
Or something. If he's not hurt, there's something going on that's preventing him from taking the mound. That remains to be seen. The last thing I wanted to get to before we talk about the Rays and the Braves series coming up is the All-Star voting. The ballots were released a couple days ago, and I see 4 All-Stars, potentially 5.
Okay.
So obviously Adley
Mm-hmm.
and Gunnar, that's your 2.
I think they are locks at their position as starting All-Stars.
Shortstop's gonna be tough. Even though Gunnar is clearly the best, I'm worried about the Yankees fans stuffing the box for Volpe.
Yeah, I still think he's got it. I really do.
I believe he's got it, but those douchebags up in the tri-state area will do that shit.
They will.
They will do that without hesitation. They'll make 17 email accounts to vote 5 times each.
I don't do that.
But shortstop is going to be stacked this year in the American League between Volpe, Gunnar, and Bobby Witt Jr., who's having a hell of a year as well. The only person I can see pushing Adley for starting catcher is Sal Perez, who's batting .317 and he's got 1 less RBI than Adley, I believe.
Yep. And he's a perennial.
Yeah. So I see those guys. I see Corbin Burns getting that nod. Whether he starts the All-Star game or not remains to be seen, but I believe he sits at 8-4, if I'm not mistaken so far with his record this year.
Yes, I think that's correct. Let's see. Come on. No, 6-2.
6-2. Okay.
Yep.
I stand corrected. I thought I saw 8-4 on a ticker somewhere. I didn't check my stats diligently like I usually do before spouting the numbers, but I believe he's going to make the All-Star team. So there's 3. I think Mountcastle makes the team because first base is kind of weak in the American League this year, and Mountcastle's batting, I think, over 280, if I'm not mistaken. And he is, I think, second in RBIs amongst first basemen, or second or third. I might be wrong, but I was looking at the numbers before I came on.
He is batting 281. What are you looking at? Ribbies?
Yes.
He has 29 ribbies. He's in 3rd place.
Right. So I can see him getting, I think he leads all first basemen in batting average. So on that merit alone, with the RBI production and the batting average, Mountcastle should be All-Star number 4.
Okay.
And third base is a little iffy, but I could see Westberg making a push in the next couple weeks, especially if he maintains his play and possibly elevates it the closer we get to the second week of July. So I could see Westberg being fringe, maybe not, but it's
the problem, not to cut you off, but the problem about Westberg, Matt, and what I run into, and I see it every year with these All-Star votes and how they let the public go, is that everyone is a homer and votes for the players on their team. That's typically how it goes. You get the votes for the names that are nationally known and talked about. And when you turn on MLB Network, when they talk about the Orioles, they talk about 2 people, Adley and Gunnar. On the cover of, the backdrops for the Orioles and all that stuff. It's always Adley and Gunnar. The problem, I think Westberg's play is good enough to be an all-star. I think he himself as a man is definitely good enough to be an all-star. I think that his name isn't nationally known enough to get those votes from, the trickle-ins across the country, where I think Gunnar and Adley are going to get those, and even Mountcastle. I think Westberg has a shot at being an all-star, not a starter, but it's going to be close. It's funny because even people in Baltimore, I feel, don't talk about Westberg enough.
Yeah. Now here's like my biggest reservation. Number one, it's all a popularity contest sprinkled in with some actual baseball foundation to it. We don't truly know, because the votes are privatized,
if they even matter.
if they even really truly matter. And there's fans in Texas, both Arlington and Houston. There's a fan base in New York, and there's a fan base in Boston that will spam these all-star votes for their guys that might not be as deserving.
Yep.
So they're never going to take the all-star voting completely away from us, but it's a popularity contest. I mean, it's crazy when you look at the other processes for other all-star games. Kobe was making the all-star team, and he was hurt for a couple of those years. Same thing with Yao Ming, Bryant. And the same thing, where fan voting for the Pro Bowl has been wacky for so many years. They this is beautiful right here from Stefan. My votes matter. They emailed me and told me. Okay.
What email did they email you on of all the emails you've created to cast?
She said she has 3.
Votes? Got it.
It's weird as an Orioles fan. I want to say this, Tim. It's weird as an Orioles fan when you're looking at the all-star votes, and we're talking about shortstop, catcher, and starting pitching, going in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not one Orioles outfielder within a million miles of being voted. And years ago, it was only our outfielders or the occasional starter that really had a chance to make it outside of that one miraculous year that Chris Davis was hitting 50-something home runs where he made it. But it's crazy, man. Like you see all the infield being potentially covered, first base, shortstop, potentially third base, catcher, and then the outfield, there's nothing.
No, I know. I've constructed, and I'll share it here for you. Here is the ideal all-star ballot that everyone watching this should go take place in.
Hilarious. So everybody but Juan Soto.
Mm-hmm. And trust me, I just saw this on Twitter. I would not have put a Yankee anywhere on there. They don't get any votes from me. That's just how it is.
I'll never vote for a Yankee.
It's on the shirt too, in case anyone was wondering. But
it's forever FTY. But
mm-hmm.
I in all my voting I've done so far, I haven't touched a Yankee on any of the votes. So there's that. While we're on the topic of the All-Star game, almost certainly Adley's going to be asked to do the All-Star home run derby again. Gunnar, leading the American League in home runs, he's probably going to be asked. Do you have any reservations about these guys participating?
I don't. I think that if you would have asked me before I saw Adley do it, then my answer would have been different, because I definitely believe that sometimes it can throw guys off, mess the rhythm up, tire them out. It just does. Historically, it has done some weird things. I just think that guys like Adley and Gunnar are just ballers. They were dropped out of the universe onto this earth to play baseball. And I think that like a home run derby would be fun for them. And I really would love to see Gunnar Henderson in the home run derby, because I talk about it all the time. The dude he's a nutcase. He's got a screw loose. Like if you see him, if he looks at a strike, if he gets a strike call and he doesn't swing and he looks at it, watch this next time. You'll notice he does this little like head twitch thing every time. He does it every time. And he loves hitting the ball. He loves batting. And the power, the way he's swinging his bat right now, he could put on a show. And we know Alonso is going to be in there. So, like, I think it would be the most entertaining home run derby ever to see Gunnar go up there and smash some balls.
Yeah, but like Stephanie just said, and I didn't even want to post this comment. I know I would have gotten a strongly worded message about it, but I don't want Gunnar, ruining his flow, and I don't get my steaks. You know what I'm saying? So I can't.
Oh, man.
Now I don't want him doing it. Thank you, Stephanie.
I don't know
Thank
if
you so much.
you've seen, but I've been doing a pizza tracker for Gunnar Henderson every time he hits a bomb. It's a fun little repost that I do, but it's just basically a chart that has however many slices of pizza equivalent to his number of home runs. And Papa John's has liked it twice. But I don't know. The dude's hitting the hell out of the ball. He's on pace at 50, whatever it is right now.
I just need him to hit 40. So to round out the show, Tim, as we always do, we're going to take a look at the next two series. We are in Tampa Bay starting tomorrow night, and we are home for the Atlanta Braves. We have a 3-game set with the Rays, and the Braves are in town for 3 before the Phillies come to town for 3. I personally think this is going to be another 3-3 stretch. I got us taking 2 out of 3 from Tampa, and I got us dropping 2 of 3 to the Braves. Strictly just on how the bullpen, not the bullpen, the starting rotation seems to be looking right now.
All right. So I hear you there. Normally, Matt, I like to look at the starting pitchers before I make my predictions. And currently, as the slate lies, however you pronounce it, I'm looking at it. We got a whole bunch of TBAs. So I was prepared and had this for you. This is what I'm basing off of. I think we're going to go 4-6.
4-2?
I'm sorry, 4-2. 4 out of 6. Interesting little thing today, if I can pull it up. And this is true. I fact checked it. So if you look at this right here, this is the amount of wins a team has against teams that are over 500. And the Orioles have the most. That tells me that we play really good ball against really good teams. If you can go on there and find the Braves, they're at a lousy 8. They only have 8 dubs against teams over 500. I like us against the A's. I think we're going 2-2. I think it would be cool to sweep a series against the Rays and win 5 of 6. But I'll settle for us winning 4 of 6. We go 4-2 over the next 6 games. Final answer.
Okay. I like it.
One thing to point out, though, on that chart is that the Phillies only have 5 wins against teams over 500, which you would think about it and be like, wait, no, there's no way. And there's a way. You can go look at who they've won against. And it's crazy. We're winning games against really good ball teams, and we're losing games against really bad ball teams.
Typical for Baltimore sports.
Yep.
They find ways to break our heart.
Before we get out of here, Matt, it's always time for your little Guess That Oriole. So we'll pop it in here for everyone real quick. This was something I was planning on sharing, and then I saw Twitter and the overlords on Orioles Twitter stole my idea, and you might know the answer because it's been floating around everywhere in the last couple days. This might be the most beautiful spray chart in all of baseball right now. this guy is just painting the Mona Lisa. He is covering the field. He is in every direction. He is away. He is to. It's just a beautiful
That's
work
Gunner,
of art.
right?
It is not.
Really?
Nope.
Is it Adley?
Nope. It
Oh
is the
shit,
person who we talked about who we don't talk about in Baltimore.
Westberg.
That is Jordan Westberg.
Huh?
And it's crazy. The dude is covering the field. He'll go any direction. He'll take any pitch. It's not getting talked about. And just another reason you're looking at it, ladies and gentlemen, why this guy needs us O's fans to rally behind him and get him into that All-Star game.
Yeah. So that was a very informative show. We had a little bit of banter and some dialogue about some non-Orioles things. We will be back next week, 8 o'clock, after the conclusion of the Atlanta Braves series. They play Thursday at 1:05. We will be live Thursday at 8 o'clock as usual. And next week, Tim, is our monthly on the farm segment. You did it in the middle of May, so we are shooting for the middle of June. A hitter and a pitcher will be profiled for the minor league system with the Orioles, and they won't be your usual suspects. I'm looking forward to that. I was going to tell you in post show, but I wanted to do it to you on air because I think that is fun.
No, there's been some guys doing some magical things down on the farm, so I'm excited for this month. A lot has changed in the last couple weeks, so it'll be a good one.
She's hilarious. I was in here before 8 o'clock tonight, Stephanie.
I was like 8:01.
You definitely can pick them, and he can share. Oh yeah, I mean, you got the next couple of months off, so I mean, you can research whatever you want.
She's doing the summer school thing.
Oh no, that just made me sweat. Spent a lot of summers in summer school.
Good old summer school.
Yes. But that'll do it. Tim, you are the Orioles spammer of X and Facebook. You are slightly menacing at times, but mostly it's informative. Let everybody know where they can find you on my end.
Twitter, the X, wrong hand. We'll do this hand. T_Malarkey. Bottom of your screen. Just follow me. You'll get overflowed with all kinds of Orioles stuff, and go check out some posts right now. There's a nice event for the guy Colton Cowser. Hopefully seeing a bunch of cows in the stands doing the pasture will invigorate him a little bit to come out of this funk he's in. But yeah, that's a wrap, Matt.
Yes, sir. Just to let everybody know, in the next few weeks, Masson's own Rock Kabatko will be making an appearance on the show. So we will be having Rock join us in the next few weeks. I'm currently hammering out details for that present day. So be on the lookout for that announcement as well. That's a wrap, folks. Thank you for tuning in and joining in the discussion. And we'll see y'all next Thursday.
Let's go O's.